Good morning, everyone. I am going to teach you one thing in Kiswahili so that if you don't remember anything else that I say this morning to you, at least you will remember how to say hello in Swahili. So when I say habari yako, you're going to say to answer back mzuri sana. Okay? Okay. Habari yako. I'm assuming you said mzuri sana. Okay. And so you say habari yako to me, and then I will say mzuri sana. So tell me, habari yako? Mzuri sana. Thank you. So you just greeted me in Kiswahili, and I greeted you in Kiswahili. Habari yako is how are you? And mzuri sana means I'm very good. When I first came to your country, Canada, and I came through my port of entry, they said that I had something in the way that I spoke. And I said, what is it? And they said they call it an accent. I said, oh, so what's an accent? So they explained to me what an accent is. And I said, oh, if that is what an accent is, to my ears, you too have an accent. So accents are a gift of diversity that we are given so that we can listen a little more intently to each other. I don't pronounce some words the way you do. So I invite you to listen a little more intently to what I say so that we can be together on this journey of this service this morning. My name is Dr. Karambu Ringera, and I come from Kenya. I thank you for having me this morning. And thank you, Dr. Will and Reverend Cynthia, for having me this morning. It's my pleasure and a blessing to be with you this morning. And I am going to share a little bit about how my relationship with Will and Cynthia started 15 years ago when we first did a gender equity and reconciliation event in South Africa. And actually, when I got to South Africa, they said that I didn't have a visa to enter South Africa. So I had to go back again to Kenya and get my visa and come back. That's a long story. But I just want you to understand we've come a long ways and we've traveled a soul journey. You know, they're like my soul journals. And we've done amazing things, both within the church and also within the gender equity and reconciliation work that we've done together. And I want us to understand that this journey has been an incredibly enriching one for me because it is through our partnership that I understood what ministry is all about. Of course, I had an idea about what it was. And I understood that church is not a building. Church is the community, working within the community. And so this morning, to be with you, their sojourners on this journey at this time, I'm just grateful. And so my prayer is that as we continue on this journey, you will understand more from their sharing and my sharing this morning, the work that I have done in Kenya with working with women living with HIV and AIDS, children who've lost their parents to HIV and AIDS, and an amazing gender equity and reconciliation process in South Africa, in Kenya, and also some work in leadership that is based on really people knowing who they are so that they can step into their highest self. I am going to share some slides with you. And these slides that will help me tell my story. I will share with you an African saying that goes like this. In the race between the lion and the deer mostly wins the race because the deer runs for life, the lion for food. Purpose is more important than need. I said I come from Kenya. I come from the middle part of Kenya called Meru. It's on the eastern slopes of Mount Kenya. It's beautiful. If you ever want to come to Africa, Kenya is the place to begin. Kenya is a place to come to. And Kenya is on the eastern part of Africa. And if you look at the eastern coast of Africa, it looks like the profile of a face. And Kenya is the eye. I say, Kenya is the eye of Africa. Africa is my sanctuary. That's where I like to do my Ubuntu, to live my calling. So my calling is with an organization that I started that is known as International Peace Initiatives. And International Peace Initiatives is based in Kenya, but we work around the world. And my focus is women living with HIV and AIDS, infected or affected by the disease, by violence, or by poverty in their lives, and children who've lost their parents because of HIV and AIDS. At International Peace Initiatives, we say that peace is not merely the absence of war. It is when people have access to the resources that enable them to meet their basic needs. This is Lent season, and I have been reflecting on my life, my calling, and my work up to this point. And my question to you as I share this journey with you is, what's your new story this season? Lent is a time of reflection as we prepare to celebrate the rising from the dead of the Lord Jesus Christ. And so what my work has taught me is what I call regeneration, reclaiming mind and heart sets. I work with so-called marginalized women and children, but really they are the ones who have taught me the sharing that I'm going to do with you this morning. And so regeneration for me implies not merely an addition of certain gifts or graces, a strengthening of certain innate good qualities, but a radical change which revolutionizes my whole being, contradicts and overcomes my old fallen nature, and places my spiritual center of gravity wholly outside of my own powers in the realm of God's position, where I am reminded who I am. I feel like in the world today, the human race has forgotten who we are. For me, I see myself as whole, complete, pure, and enough. I am created whole and enough, and I know who I am, love and light, and that's who I be in this life. A radical change. A radical change embedded in a radical faith as the one embedded in Hebrews 11:1. Faith, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This is an amazing verse for me in my life because I have learned to feel things that I hope for, that I dream for my work, for the women and the children that I work with. evidence of things not seen. It is not there in the human eye, but I believe I have it, because the Bible also teaches me when I pray, I believe I have it. It doesn't say I will, it says I believe I have it. Radical faith. Or as in the promise in Jeremiah 29:11, I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans of welfare and not of evil, to give me a future and a hope. At the gate of the children's home in Kenya, these are the words that are on the gate, Jeremiah 29:11. And I want everybody, including myself and the children, to remember that I'm not in this world just at large, that there's a plan and a purpose for which I am here. And until I know who I am, how will I know my purpose? How will I know why I am here? And so these two verses have been the foundation of the amazing work that we have done, in Kenya. I say sometimes I feel like we've done work that some people do in a lifetime, we've done in 14 years. So these verses are very important for me because I have seen things that I prayed for, I envisioned, and I've seen them come to life. I work with women living with HIV and AIDS. And I am saying that it is these women who have taught me the message that I'm going to share with you today. And when I met these women, they said to me, we want you to take our children when we die. And I said, you're not God. Who says you're going to die? And so the idea of building a children's home came to my mind so that at least the women would be at peace, I thought. So I said to them, I don't know how to help people. How do you want to help yourselves? Go to your community and look for land so that we can build a children's home for the children if you die. And so we went to the community, and this is the piece of land they gave us, a piece of wasteland. These are rocks you're seeing. We would carry soil to put in the holes where we planted fruit trees and fences and things like that. And I felt like the community was saying, take this piece of land, wasteland, for your wasteland, women living with HIV and AIDS, and wasteland orphans. Because a lot of people thought that if kids lost their parents to HIV and AIDS, they too had it. So my work has taught me that we have a variety of wastelands in our communities, environmental, human, societal. But I say the worst form of wasteland is the mental one, where we live in a box and we don't want to get out of those boxes to see what's happening around us. So this is the piece of wasteland that we got. And today it looks like this. It is a lush green space. How did it become so? That's an example of a woman, a widow, who's lost her husband, and those are her 3 kids. And the relatives are trying to demolish her house so that they can take the land, so she can live and they can take the land. And that woman, when we met, was helpless, thought she was helpless and hopeless. And today, she has become a business person. And as a group, they have opened a business, a shop. How did that come to be? Lessons I've learned from bringing up Newton and working with the mothers or women living with HIV and AIDS is that the old way of thinking that I was told and taught in school wasn't working. My work has taught me that we need to get out of that modernistic linear way of thinking about supporting people who need our support. I don't talk about helping children or women. I talk about working with them. I have to work with the child within the context that that child is growing. A drunken parent, the siblings, the school, his playmates, the outer community, and the church. Because if all of us do not work as the context within which Newton is growing, and we say we are paying school fees for him, he is not going to finish school, and then he's going to be the so-called dropout, and then we blame the child instead of blaming ourselves as a system, as a society, because we did not recognize the context within which this child is growing. And so what then I created was something to help me think through how I am going to do this dance. And I called it the New Story Dialogue. And it begins from the top by asking the question, who am I? Now, remember, I am talking to women who think they should have died yesterday, even though they are alive today. I'm also asking this of myself as I work with these women and the children. Who am I? And who am I are not the things that I do. I am a professor. I taught at the university. I am a mother. I am an aunt. I am a lot of things. I'm a facilitator. I am, but that's not who I am. Those are the things that I do. So when I peeled all the layers of the societal markings and namings of who I am, when I peeled all those layers of who I am, when I peeled the layers of who I say I am from what people say I am, and when all those layers were gone, I found nothing at the bottom. At that place, I started renaming myself as who I am. So today, if you ask me who I am, I will say I am love and light. For example, when I started the children's home and I completed building it, I had gone this loop of who am I? What stops me in building this home? And there were so many things that were in my way, including the community, including people, including so many things, or the rules and regulations. And when the home was built and we brought the first 10 kids, I had to begin again. Now with 10 kids, I had never brought up more than one kid. Who am I? What stops me? And this new story dialogue is continuous. It is continuous. I call it the spiral of learning, unlearning, relearning, and growth. The spiral of learning, unlearning, relearning, and growth. Because in every phase of our lives, we have to learn new things as we unlearn things that are not serving us and relearn new things, just like the coronavirus is teaching us at this moment. I want to share a little bit about how the gender equity and reconciliation work has transformed patriarchy in my society. I mean, in Kenya, I really come from an ethnic group, the Meru, and it's very patriarchal. And it's not the only one that is patriarchal. Most of our ethnic groups are very patriarchal. And when we started the gender equity and reconciliation workshop, I had no idea how it was going to impact, especially men who benefit from the privileges that patriarchy endows men in my community with. And during our very first workshop, there was a girl who really shared a very heart-rending story about how after her father died, the uncles mistreated the mother and the family as a whole. And it was really a very painful story. And after she spoke, this man just woke up and went and knelt in front of her and said, as a man, I want to apologize on behalf of your uncles and all the men that have hurt your family. I mean, the story was so intense that it was as intense that this man, just stepped up and wasn't speaking as he was standing over her, but actually knelt down. And that that girl's life changed because she saw a man who was not like the uncles. And she actually later on shared with me, because I followed up and asked her about how she was now and all that stuff. And she told me that incident changed her perception of men. She went and shared with her mother. She actually started a whole program within her village with women and things like that. It changed her life. But that man also, because he's still in my circles, it also changed his life because he treats his wife like, amazingly. And we still talk about that incident and how now he has become a person who speaks in his community about the things that he learned during that workshop. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that it has really changed a lot of people's understanding of themselves and the systems within which we live, especially patriarchy, and also awakened the importance of each one of us, not just learning these things and then going and sitting down, keeping it to ourselves, but bringing it home to our own children, to our own family members. And it is really changing the fabric of families in our community. Our socialization is a process of programming, of conditioning. We think we are living our lives, but we are living someone else's story. That is why that conversation about, creating my own story, my own new story is critical. Because if I don't have a new story for myself, I'm going to be living someone else's story. And so what this work has taught me is to really be very critical and to redefine terms. When you tell me that me as a woman, I cannot do certain things, I have to say according to who? Because insofar as I'm concerned, I know who I am and I know what I can do. Redefine terms that make us less. Redefine terms that tell us we are not good enough. Redefine terms that limit us. We also need to de-stereotype myths. Myths have been created by human beings like us. We need to de-stereotype them and decide what defines who I am. Not other people's stories, but my story, according to God's plan for my life. And then a positive mindset. The template of the world today, especially the so-called, developed world, is when you look at a glass full of water, half full of water, we see it is half empty. I choose always to look at the better side of things. Like if a woman comes to me and they're telling me they're HIV positive, they think they're going to die, I tell them why they're actually going to live. If a kid comes and tells me, oh, my parents have died, I tell them why they are blessed and what this bad thing is actually inviting into their lives. A positive mindset is very important. And furthermore, and negativity then breeds fear. And what I've learned in my work is that my foundation is love. Love, because the opposite of fear is not fearlessness, it is love. A love that enables me to see myself in another and to recognize that our fates are intricately linked. love that tells me that the other is me. An authentic heart set. You know, we do a lot of things in this life, but we never ask what informs the doing. We've been taught to think, to be logical, and to do things, to act. But no one talks about the beingness that informs the thinking and the doing. An authentic heart set for me has brought me to a place of, like being still. The Bible tells us, be still and know I am God. Being still and looking at what is informing my doing all this stuff. And I also recognize that there are a lot of people who have a lot of things in life. But if life is about me, I, and myself, I see a lot of people who are not happy, even though they have all these things. And in my life, I realized that service above self really is the pathway to joyfulness and happiness, service with other people. And so what the work also has taught me is the importance of co-creation. I work with others. I don't work alone. And that is regeneration for me, a space where we are creating a new space where it's neither that one's, it's nor my, stuff or story that I bring, but together we bring something new. We create something new that enables us to move forward in our lives. And this enables us to create our new story. There's no need to fear. When there's love, it is enough. No need to fear. So I have learned to let go, because death is life's beginning. It's about letting go, because the tragedy is not lost in death. It is what is dead within while I'm still alive, separated. The conditioning that we've learned is about separation. Even when God has said, no matter the valley of darkness in which we get into, she will be with us in it. We don't remember that. But I hope in our fellowship today, in our sharing today, we will awaken to there's no separation ever. There's no separation, because when we love from our hearts, we know that we can never be separate from others. For transformation through regeneration is a process. It takes patience, perseverance, persistence, and presence. Life is a process. It takes time. We need to be still and wait upon the Lord. In this knowing, therefore, when the women, the children, and even myself understood who we are and what we are about, the question is, whose story shall be told and by who? For until the lion learns to write, every story will glorify the hunter. What's my story? Who shall tell it? When I know who I am, my roots are deep and there's no need to fear the wind. Grounded in who I know I am, in the knowing placed within me by my Creator, my roots run deep and there's no need to fear the wind. There's an African proverb that says, judge each day not by the harvest, but the seeds that you plant. What are the seeds that we are planting every day, even in the midst of strange times? What are the seeds that you are planting as we speak with each other, as we speak to ourselves in these interesting times? So I've learned that in my new story, as a change maker, my work is not to get people to believe in me. Rather, I work to find ways to get people to believe in themselves. Because I know from learning from the women and the children, when people believe in themselves, they are unstoppable. I say that the tragedy of a people is when they don't know who they are. God created us amazing. God's essence lives in me. I can do anything that I choose to do because I have everything that I need within me. And that is my work. When I say I'm love and light, it's so that I can hold a space for someone else to see their love and light, so that they can see their power. In my journey, there have been outcomes, but for me, regeneration is really an igniting of a fire within the people that I work with, rather than a pile of results. But there are results. But really, for me, the amazingness of the work is the fire that has been lit in the kids that I've worked with. Kids who are orphans actually starting new initiatives of giving back. And when one of these kids told me, I may be an orphan, but I'm not the one who is dead, I was like, oh my gosh, he gets it. That's our work. I may be an orphan, but I'm not the one who is dead. Each one of us has what it takes, no matter our circumstances. When we learn to reclaim these spaces, there's nothing that is not possible. Because we are not doing these things by our own power. We know that within us lives a power that is beyond all others. And so what I've learned in my work is that hope is not something that comes from outside. It is neither what we see in evidence nor what we hear in action. Rather, it is who we become in being. What informs the thinking and the actions. It's who we become when we stand shoulder to shoulder with another. I love Romans 13:10. It talks about love. But the fundamental line in that verse is, to love is to obey the whole law. To love is to obey the whole law. So the invitation today is really not to go out to seek love. We are love. We are light. Rather, it is to seek and find all the ways in which we have blocked love within us, and to choose to be love, to reclaim it. My bumper sticker is my kids celebrating their birthdays, laughing like, the world belongs to them, telling the world, this is who I am becoming. I'm not defined by my circumstances. I may be an orphan, but I'm not the one who is dead. This is who I am becoming. This is my new story. And I pray that each one of us today, in spite of whatever is going on in our lives, to look at the faces of these kids, that smile is real. People tell me, your kids seem happy. I say, they don't seem. They are happy. It's not about our circumstances. It's about love, and you have that love within you. God bless you. Those smiling faces of my kids, I invite you to come and be with them, to come and learn from them, and to come and give them with your love and light. So I invite each one of you. Will and Cynthia can work with you to organize to come to Kidoka Amani Children's Home, a project of International Peace Initiatives. And please do come. I'm serious. Please do come and let's do the dance together so that we can transform these unlikely spaces together. Thank you.